on September 5th at 9 a.m. how I expected my labor to go, I would have told you when I go into labor on September 8th, I would experience some mild contractions in the beginning, which is called pre-labor or early labor, you can say. I would have told you I would have had, maybe 8 hours of that. Contractions lasting, 30 seconds, 15, 30 minutes in between each. I would have told you that likely I will probably not give birth on September 8th and probably go beyond my due date, which is very typical for first-time moms. I would have told you that my water wouldn't necessarily break, which is true. Those contractions that I experienced in the beginning would be mild, and I would be able to, walk through them. I would have told you, if you asked me about labor, that I would try to cope with the pain by bouncing around a birthing ball or by taking a bath. I would have told you that I would want to labor at home and that I would want to sort of watch TV shows that would help get my mind off of labor. Okay, wow. Honey, September 5th at 6 p.m., I'm chopping onions because that day I had danced my butt off, walked up and down the stairs. The night before I had lots of pineapple. 3 weeks before that exact date, September 5th, I was indulging in a buttload of dates. That same day, I did a bunch of birthing exercises, pelvic tilts, bouncing around on the birthing ball, just doing a bunch of a lot of things to kind of get this baby out. Well, 6 p.m. comes around and I'm like, I don't feel anything, this is annoying. I'm gonna make some biryani because I want some spicy food. So I am sitting there chopping onions and then I feel like I had to use the washroom. Typical, normal, right? So I go to the washroom, do my thing. And then I felt this weird urge, sorry if this is TMI, but I felt like I needed to do number 2. And I didn't go to the washroom to do that, I didn't feel that. And then suddenly I felt it, so it was weird. I didn't make much of it. Went back to the kitchen, obviously did my thing, washed my hands and continued chopping those onions. And then I felt that same feeling. It was like something pushing down from the back. So I'm like, okay, maybe this is Braxton Hicks. Mind you, I never experienced any Braxton Hicks prior to this feeling. So I had no idea what to expect. And I'm a first-time mom, so yeah. No matter how much the books or internet or whatever tries to explain to you what that feeling is like, you never really know. So anyway, that feeling that I was feeling kept coming and going, so I should probably go lie down. So I stopped chopping the onions and I went to sit down on the couch where Yusuf was watching TV, and I was like, hey babe, I'm feeling these weird things. Oh, and that day we had gotten into an argument, so we were iffy with each other. And he was like, hey, let me know if this is real, because he doesn't know, right? So then I go upstairs and try and lie down, and yeah, it didn't, if you lie down, Braxton Hicks should go away eventually, they don't last. So I'm lying down and I'm grabbing my belly and pushing on my back, and I'm like, this doesn't feel right, something is weird. So I pop into the bath, I turn on hot water. I had my phone with me just in case I needed to, contact Yusuf, or he didn't hear me if I was yelling for him. Or I also really wanted to get in touch with my sister-in-law and my friends to make sure, who have been through this, just to kind of be reassured as to what it was I was going through. So I'm sitting in the bath, crouched forward, and I have my phone in my hand, and I downloaded the contraction counter app, just because. Really, at this point, I had no idea what I was going through. And they're lasting about a minute to 45 seconds. And they are 3 minutes apart. From the moment I was chopping those onions, it was every 3 minutes I would feel that pain. And then I remember contacting my sister-in-law and I'm like, hey, this is what's happening to me. She's like, she sends me a screenshot of what Braxton Hicks is. I'm like, yeah, I'm not feeling that. And then she's like, okay, can you time it? I think she's the one that asked me to send her a screenshot, or it was my friend, but either way, I sent somebody a screenshot of my timed contractions for half an hour. I was timing them. Either my friend or my sister-in-law was like, go to the hospital right now. From the onions to the bathtub, and it was less than half an hour, that entire progression. So I call for Yusuf, I'm like, get yourself ready, we need to go to the hospital. And my biggest fear was that I would go all the way to the hospital and that they would send me back. Anyways, the pain started getting unbearable. I didn't have time to even put my mind into that place where it's like I'm in labor. I was just kind of like in denial up until the point where I was actually checked in the hospital. So anyway, we're in the car and I'm dying of pain, and all I'm screaming for is the epidural. I'm like, Yusuf, the moment we get to the hospital, I don't want to even give them my name. I just want them to give me the epidural. Remember, if you had asked me that same day in the morning, would I want to take the epidural? I tell you, oh, I want to see if I can like push through it. Okay. So I get to the hospital, I come in, and they want me to answer a bunch of questions and like sign a bunch of papers while I'm getting a contraction. Like I think I was the rudest person in the world to them, but I was like not in the right state of mind. Like my mind was out of this world. I was all over the place. I was a mess because of the pain. Really, it takes over your brain. It does. And I think my problem was that I didn't practice my breathing before giving birth. My advice to anybody watching who's pregnant, is thinking about getting pregnant, practice your breathing before you go into labor, because or else your mind consumes you. And that's what happened to me. My mind, and I let the pain consume me. And I get to a waiting room and I'm sitting there waiting, dying. My mom and dad come meet us. My dad's like rubbing my back, my husband, you know, they're all being supportive. My sisters-in-law call me. They're like, keep walking, keep drinking water, like do your thing, like try your best to just get your mind off of the pain. I'm in the waiting room for like 30 minutes. The worst. And there's nobody in the waiting room. The hospital's empty. Like I have no idea what the heck they're doing. Anyways, I get into the triage room. I'm 5 centimeters. We're at the hospital at 8. I started feeling contractions at 6. And they're like, okay, well, we have to give you an antibiotic. And it takes 4 hours for the antibiotic to reach my daughter before I give birth to her. Because if I give birth to her before the 4-hour mark, then they have to give her the antibiotic and take her away from me. And I wouldn't have that skin on skin time after I push, right? So I'm already 5 centimeters. They didn't even give me the penicillin yet. So I'm like, okay, let's get moving, right? So they put me in the wheelchair and then they wheel me over to the delivery room, where I'm screaming for the epidural at this point. Luckily, he wasn't seeing anyone else. He came to my room, gave me the epidural, and like it doesn't kick in until 10 minutes. And that's the longest 10 minutes I have ever felt in my entire life, because you're like, okay, I'm gonna feel relief right now. Oh my God, okay, this hurts. You feel the pain and you're like, what the hell? 10 minutes pass, 15, I think it slowly starts to fade. The only thing you really feel is pressure, but because the pressure was so strong, like down there, especially in the back, like I felt the pain of the pressure, but it wasn't anything near what I was experiencing before the epidural was given to me. By the time they gave me the epidural, they gave me the penicillin, they checked me, I'm 8 centimeters. That was half an hour. Oh, she's awake. Gotta finish this. Long story short, 4 hours pass, I make my mark, I'm happy, and then the doctor comes in, my doctor, my OB. This is at like around 1:45 a.m. She comes in, she's like, all right, Noor, I'm gonna do a practice push. So I do this practice push, and she's like, whoa, hold on there. You're 10 centimeters, your water broke, and they saw meconium, which is baby poo. So they're like, so the nurse is like, listen, if she comes out not crying, we're gonna have to take her away. But if she's crying and she's good, then we'll give her to you and you can bond with her from the get-go. So I was like, okay, whatever, let me just push, right? Pushing with the epidural is a breeze, because if I had to feel the pain of the contraction and then the pain of pushing, I would have died. So anyway, I'm pushing. My pushing experience was amazing. Lasted a few minutes. I pushed. The doctor was so gentle with me, and honestly, your midwife and OB, please let them know that it's important for them to be calm and collected, for you to be calm and collected, because if she was screaming at me to push, I would have pushed from my upper body. I would have been like just stressed out to push, but I really was feeling like a wave come out. Really, like she tells me, she's like, it's like a J. Push like you're push. Imagine a J in your head, and that's literally what I did. The letter J, and I was like flowing it like pushing as if I was pushing out like a J. It was weird, but it worked. A few pushes, and baby girl's head was out. She tells me to look. I see her head, and it was amazing. Like I was just like, how is there a human being like right there? It was so weird, you guys, but so beautiful. She's like, all right, Noor, you're gonna have to pull her out. I'm like, huh? No way. I'm not touching that. And she's like, pull her out right now. She stays. I slide my hands under her armpits and I pull her up towards me. And because she was crying, they let me. I'm like crying hysterically. Yusuf was in the back pushing me forward while I was pushing. My mom was there, and we were all like, just like in the moment. Yusuf didn't really react the way I thought he would. I thought he would cry, but he was just like in awe at the experience, like what I was able to do and accomplish. He was like proud of me and amazed at what just happened. I'm looking at this child and she's mine. This is Peanut. Like, this is the baby that was inside kicking me just like a few minutes ago. So yeah, that's my birth story. The aftermath is a video in and of itself, a few videos in fact. One about postpartum depression, not depression, but the blues. One about breastfeeding, one about the commitment and just like your life changing 180 degrees. I have to do a few more videos, but yeah. So I really hope you enjoyed my story. If anyone is considering having a baby or is pregnant right now, please don't let my story scare you. I had a great labor. Like, the pain is the pain. You're gonna feel pain. There's no denying that. It's just the full experience that is so beautiful and so worth it. And honestly, I wouldn't mind doing it again and again and again. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm definitely gonna film others talking about breastfeeding and like the blues and just your commitment as a mother and how your life changes. But yeah, thank you so much for watching and stay tuned for my next video.